Hello and welcome to my channel. I call it Astronomy Meets Christianity because I'm using astronomy to prove what's written in the Gospels. Jesus was real, the miracles were real, and we can prove at least the dates in which they happened. Okay, on the last episode, last class, we talked about determining with certainty the day in which Jesus Christ was crucified. It's been a question over 2,000 years exactly when did it happen and what year did it happen. Um, Even today, if you look at Wikipedia, you'll say, well, maybe in year 30 AD, maybe in year 33 AD. They don't know for sure. Um, and by going through all the effort of looking at eclipses throughout the reigns of Julius Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, we determine with certainty which year was the first of Tiberius and then the 15th of Tiberius. Knowing when the 15th of Tiberius happened and counting the years of ministry, then we get the day of the crucifixion. But you might not believe that. You say, hey, I don't believe your stuff. There's no way the list of Roman consuls is off by 1 year. Who are you to tell us anything? Perfect. That's the kind of attitude you should have. You should question, you should investigate, you should verify the sources. I know this is in contradiction with the whole idea of faith. And it's only because of faith that these documents that we have been kept, even if they have internal discrepancies, they, they have been kept. People have faith in the Lord in what it says. But some of them are discrepant. Some of them have things that people don't understand. How do you can't analyze them unless you have an inquiring mind, unless you question, verify the information there. So both things are needed. You need faith and you need inquiry in order to achieve understanding. And that's my goal, to have understanding of the things that happened in the past. So both kind of people are needed. You have people that have unbreakable faith, and people like me, with engineering background, that question everything and verify everything. So I hope you accept me as well, and I hope I bring you information that you didn't know before, and it's worth it to you. So the way to verify the year is not through the lunar eclipse of the crucifixion, because Peter never said that the eclipse happened, the moon was red, on the day of the crucifixion. It's implied, because that's when Jesus Christ died. But it's never clear that that's on that day. How do we know for sure? There's a document that's called the Gospel of Peter. That's either a pseudographic document where a different author says that Peter wrote it, or it may actually be Peter's words. We don't know. The only thing we know from Wikipedia is that it was written in the first half of the second century. The first century was from 0 to 100, from year 1 to 100. Second century is 100 to 200. So first half of the second century is the year 150, which makes it one of the earliest Christian documents that we have. It's not known by that many people. It's called the Gospel of Peter. You can see the Wikipedia page here, simply Gospel of Peter, and placing it in the first half of the second century. It's considered to have been compiled based on oral traditions about Jesus, independent of the canonical Gospels, so he adds additional information. There is only one copy of it that was found, and let's look at what it says. The document can be found on this link that I provide here. And it tells us that in the early morning of the Sabbath was drawing on, there came a multitude of Jerusalem in the region about it, that they might see a sepulchre that was sealed. This tells us that the tomb of Jesus Christ was sealed with a rock in front of it. And then he tells us, and in the night in which the Lord's Day was drawing on, so the night before Sunday, or the night before the Sunday day started, the soldiers kept guard 2 by 2 in a watch. There was a great voice in heaven, and they saw the heavens opened, and 2 men descended from thence with a great light and approached the tomb. And that stone which was put at the door rolled itself and made way in part, and the tomb was open, and both the young men entered in. And therefore the soldiers saw it, and they awakened the centurion and the elders. Now, notice what it says. The heavens were opened. That means it was at night, so you could see the stars. There were guards watching the tomb. 2 by 2, I don't know if it was just 2 people or 4 people, but there were, or is that an expression for a pair of people? I don't know. But there were guards watching the tomb. What would happen if Jesus had resurrected and came out of the tomb and there were guards in front of it? They would have recaptured him. They would probably re-executed him, maybe this time by chopping his head off, like a normal way of execution by the Romans, or re-crucified. It would have been horrible. We know for a fact that he was not recaptured. How is that possible when there were guards in front of the tomb? We know from the other information, I think the Gospel of Matthew, we'll go through it, that there was an earthquake. So there was a great voice in heaven, and they saw the heavens open, and 2 men descended from thence with a great light and approached the tomb. That stone which was put at the door, rolled itself and made way in part. I believe the great noise that they heard was the earthquake. They're describing the earthquake in the big stone which was in front of the door rolled away. When the soldiers saw it, they awakened the centurion and the elders. Now, how can they awaken the centurions and the elders if they're watching the tomb? That means the soldiers got scared from the earthquake, from the door opening, from what they saw in the sky. And they left and went to the centurion's in the elders' tent. So now we have a chronology of events. The soldiers left the tomb unguarded, and that's when Jesus Christ in bodily form came out. Otherwise, he would have been rearrested. So then they told the centurion, they declared the things they had seen. 3 men come forth from the tomb, 2 of them supporting one and a cross following them. And of the 2, the head reached unto the heavens. But the head of him that was led by them overpassed heavens. And then they heard a voice from the heavens saying, "Thou hast preached to them that sleep," and a response was heard from the cross, "Yeah." So therefore they considered with one another to go away and show these things to Pilate. And while they were thinking about it, while they yet thought thereon, the heavens again are seen to open, and certain men to descend and enter the sepulchre. When the centurion and they that were with him saw these things, they hastened in the night to Pilate, leaving the tomb which they were watching, and declared all things they had seen, greatly distressed. So after he talked to the centurion, um, they left. And that's why when Mary Magdalene came by, there were no soldiers around the tomb. The tomb was completely empty. The door had been rolled over, and there were nobody watching the tomb. And Jesus was not there. But we know when everything happened. We know he was crucified on April 3rd. So Saturday is April 4th. And and Mary Magdalene showed up on Sunday, which is April 5th, early in the morning at the crack of dawn, and nothing was there. So we can look at the sky and see if we can make sense of this record that has come to us. So when we go to Sunday, that's at night. So we had to go Sunday early morning. We're talking about Jerusalem. We're talking about the year 33, April 5th on Sunday. And we backed out to just dawn. And at dawn, the tomb is empty. But if we back out, sorry, this is Sunday. We back out several hours before that, we see something interesting. At 22 hours, which is 10 p.m., we see two figures. And they were well known for both the Romans, the Greeks, and the Jews, which are known to the Romans and the Greeks as Castor and Pollux. Castor and Pollux are descending as the night wears on. So this is 10 o'clock at night, this is 11 o'clock at night, and by 12 o'clock at night, they're almost gone, you can't see anything. So if we go back to the Gospel of Peter, sorry. He says, two men descended with a great light and approached the tomb. Obviously, they're talking about the two men, the two figures, Gemini, known to us as Castor and Pollux, and descending with a great light. That tells us, and this helps archaeology as well. This tells us that the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, in which Jesus Christ was entombed, must have been facing east, and the guards were standing in front of it facing west. So forgive my horrible drawing skills, but imagine this is the tomb over here, and here's the entrance to the tomb, and this is all earth. The two men are descending down to the tomb with a great light. So now we know that the tomb in which he was entombed was facing east, and the soldiers were facing west, since this is west right here. The other thing that we find is that there was an earthquake, as mentioned by Matthew, and the door rolled itself, and the tomb was open, and both the young men entered in. So this might be a little premature, because when the soldiers saw it, they left the tomb and awakened the centurion and the elders. For they too were hard by, keeping guard. So they're not too far away. And then again they see the three men come forth of the tomb, the two of them supporting one, and a cross following them. And the two of the head reach unto heaven, but the head of him that was led by them overpassed the heavens. Now at first I didn't understand that. I said, what do you mean overpassed the heavens? Obviously, Jupiter is in between Castor and Pollux, so he's not higher than he's not higher in a higher elevation than them. And to Jewish people, he was Angel Gabriel. But then I realized this account, even though it's written by Peter, is not from Peter. Peter would have said Angel Gabriel, or he would have said an angel. This is a report by Roman soldiers that was relayed to Peter. So it comes secondhand to us. And to the Roman soldiers, Jupiter was the head of the pantheon, the pantheon gods. Jupiter was the highest god of all their pagan gods. He surpassed all in the heavens. So this tells us that Jupiter, they recognize Jupiter as being the man carried in between Castor and Pollux. Where is it? But the head of him that was led by them overpassed the heavens. And then they heard a voice from the heavens saying, "To have preached to them that sleep," and a response was heard from the cross. You can say that's a miracle when you hear a voice from heaven. But now when we know when it happened. We know when they left to see Pilate, inform Pilate, hey, the tomb is empty. Now the other thing is, there's an earthquake, the door gets rolled over, the soldiers get spooked, they go a little far away to the tents of, and we have to consider this is in a cemetery. So probably the soldiers were guarding in the cemetery, in the tents of the centurion and the elders were not in the cemetery itself, it was probably a little farther away. Nobody wants to sleep amongst tombs. So they leave and they talk to the centurion. The centurion probably went back and checked on the tomb and realized it's empty. So let's go tell Pilate, what happened to Jesus Christ? He left. He's not there. And we know when it happened. This is the important part. This is why this is so important. They're talking about the three men, two men, one man that surpassed all the others, carried between them. And we see that the last time they had possibly said that is there at 23:15. That's 11:15 at night on what we think is Saturday. What do you mean it's Saturday? That means that Jesus Christ was resurrected on a Saturday? That's mind-blowing, except we are thinking in modern days, which are from midnight to midnight. The Jewish people had their days start at sunset. So their Sunday started on Saturday afternoon, Saturday at sunset. It was already Sunday for them. I'll have to talk about it more about in the follow-up video about the exact time of the resurrection. But we know it happened. Now we know for certain that it happened before 11:15 on Saturday. What for us is Saturday. For them it was Sunday. Now, the purpose of this video is not exactly to say when Jesus Christ was resurrected. That'll be a whole topic for another video. The question is, how is this proof that we have the right year? And we know that because this is the only year in which this happened. When do you have, and we know it's Jupiter because it's he who surpasses all in the heavens. It wasn't Mars, it wasn't Saturn, it wasn't Venus, it was Jupiter. For the Romans, this is a Roman account. If we go to year 32, we see that no one is there. Saturn is approaching, but it's not in between the two men. Year 31, Saturn is in between the two men, but he's not the one that surpasses all in the heavens. Year 30, the same thing. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. You have to wait till you have to be 21 AD to have the same configuration in the heavens. And in the future, if you start 33, you have to 34, 35 is Mars, so it's not him. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So the only days, only years in which this could happen, since we know the exact date, he happened on the second day of unleavened bread, are year 21 AD, 33 AD, or 45 AD. And 21 and 45 can just be discarded. There's no one in the historical record would claim that it happened in those years. So this is proof right there. And it's also mind-blowing that Jesus was resurrected on what to us is Saturday, but to them was Sunday. And we can narrow down the hour. We can find out the hour of the resurrection. And we will do that on the next video, follow-up video. I was going to talk about the records about the resurrection that are in Mark. So it goes Mark from 1537 to 1611. In Matthew from 2557 to 28:8, in Luke from 23:44 to 24:2, in John 19:39 to 22. But I'll leave you guys to do it. I have an accent. You probably won't understand what I say anyway. But the most interesting one is the one by Matthew. In Matthew, on 28:2, says, "And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake, and became as dead men." There you go. The gospel says so. But notice how he says the angel of the Lord. So in this account, he's not the Roman God. He is Angel Gabriel. So we know from this that this is a Jewish account. We know that the stone on the door, the earthquake happened as the angel descended and sat upon it. Unfortunately, we don't know how high if there was a mountain or a cave, or what the elevation was. We can only go with a perfectly flat horizon. So we can only approximate when the angel of the Lord, that will be Jupiter, which is Angel Gabriel, sat upon the tomb. And the latest it could have happened is, like I said, 11:15. Let's see if we can get there. That's the latest it could have happened. So there you go, proof. There's so much to talk about, but I've tried to confine my videos to be very focused and short, based on the average view time. Leave me a comment below. If you like the content, like to improve, if you like to see it longer, or I'd rather explain step by step how I do things. But please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.